That's inappropriate.
Cocaine Bear. I mean this in the best, most loving way possible. What a dumb movie.
Delightfully dumb.
I had such a good time with this dumb movie. it was it was the fucking best.
It was so much fun. As soon as it was over, I was like, "I wanna watch it again." Like, I don't know, I wasn't even doing cocaine, which should tell you everything.
Yeah, this movie is so funny because like it does not take itself seriously at all.
Thank God.
I mean, there's way more people like movie critics that are taking this movie way more seriously than the movie takes itself.
Yeah, I don't know where they're coming at this when they're like, "What's the message behind Cocaine Bear?" It's not even like because it's not even like a movie that's like, "Don't do drugs, kids." Like, it's not like that. It's just a fucking fun time. You know what it is? It's an 80s B movie. It's like Malignant, right? I
Yeah,
mean, nobody got that when it came out, or half people did, half people didn't. I
yeah.
feel like that might be the same thing with Cocaine Bear. With Cocaine Bear, they're really like open and upfront about that from the beginning, though, that you're here to have a good time. And if you don't, I mean, you just might be a sour person who doesn't wanna enjoy things, that's all. That's what I think.
Yeah, Malignant kind of tricks you into what is happening. This right off the bat, I mean, like the opening scene, I laughed so hard both times I watched this movie where the guy's just like in the plane and then he's just like
It's
ready to go
crashing.
and then just hits his head.
Yeah, but he's, like, so happy when, like, the plane's, like, obviously, like, this thing's going down. He's just fucking, like, jamming to the music, like, having the time of his life, throwing bags out the plane and just smiling, and then, yeah, hits his fucking head. So great, though, like, that opening was just perfect, and it's funny because the opening is literally the only true part of the movie,
Yeah.
so they kinda nailed it.
So for those of you that were really confused when you heard based off a true story or inspired by a true story, the true story is a plane full of cocaine went down, or they threw it off the plane. I'm not
It's
exactly
the
sure.
same thing as the movie, I think, where it's going down and they know where to throw it to pick it up later
Yeah.
or some shit.
And so they throw it, it lands in the woods, and a bear finds it, a bear eats it, and the bear dies. That is the actual story. And the brilliance of this is they just took that story and they're like, what if it didn't die?
What if it had some fun and lived a full and happy life and
Uh,
just did its bear thing? And you know what? I wish that this was like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood where I was like, I wish that was the true story. That was delightful watching the ending of that. It was so great. But you're like, it's sad because I know that that didn't happen. Same here, honestly. She's rewriting history. Thank you, Elizabeth Banks.
it's just so funny to me when I've heard people criticize this movie because I'm just like, the title is Cocaine Bear.
Yeah.
Like, did you not see the trailer? Did did you think this was something else? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I went into this movie and I'm like, I know exactly what I'm gonna get, and I'm totally okay with it. And I did. Like, plot optional.
More plot than I needed, honestly. I thought it was great.
Yeah. I mean, it's a solid how what's runtime for this?
It's
Is it
gotta be like
90
80, 90 minutes.
90 minutes?
An hour 35, so yeah, just about.
Yeah, like they don't an hour 35 movie, like that's nothing. That's a season finale of a really popular show nowadays.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, well, it's Cocaine Bear. That lasts probably like I mean, maybe the cocaine high, you might need a little hit after 90 minutes. So, I kinda think they timed it right, but I just was surprised that, like, I actually really liked a lot of the characters in this movie. I feel like I mean, obviously, there's a couple you're like, "Okay, yeah, they're gonna die." But I felt like overall, like, I really enjoyed the, like, weirdo cast of characters in the movie, and I felt like this movie just was a lot more, like, fun and better than it had to be for me.
yeah, I I really didn't have any problems with this movie. Like
Yeah. None.
also it was like it was like a palate cleanser for me because we just got done with the Oscars. So I've been watching a lot of like heavy movies. And this was just like it was like getting a
Ah,
massage. I just felt
yeah.
refreshed afterwards.
Just like Cocaine Bear when she's dancing in the little waterfall of cocaine and was dropping it down.
It's like a oh yeah, what was the line? It's like it's like a
Oh, it's like, yeah,
snowstorm of cocaine.
yeah, it was like a I don't know, Christmas it's Christmas
Yeah,
with cocaine,
yeah.
something like that. Oh, I should have written, you know what it is? I didn't take any notes on this movie because I was just like, I'm fucking along for the ride. I'm having fun.
I wrote down a couple notes, but I mean,
I don't think we need them, honestly. I remember most of it. It was a
yeah,
great time.
this movie is not meant for just oh, what is the meaning? What is all this?
Yeah,
Where are
please.
we going? What am I taking away from this? It's like, no, this is just a good time. You know,
Yeah.
this is like watching a Fast and the Furious movie. There's no
Yes.
logic. There,
Yeah.
there's no
Thank
brain
you.
needed.
That's what I'm saying.
You barely even have to watch it. You could be on your phone the whole time. And you're just like, oh, this scene's great.
It's exactly what it needs to be, but better. Again, I'm gonna bring it up for the umpteenth time, but The Mummy with Tom Cruise is a million times worse than Cocaine Bear. I will go to my grave saying that. That is the worst movie of all time. If you watch that movie, just watch it and it will make everything you'll love movies again. It really I feel like that was the palate cleanser I needed to be like, "You know what? Maybe I'm hard on movies because holy fuck that movie was the worst thing I've ever seen."
Imagine how much better that would have been if it had a cocaine bear in
I mean,
it.
honestly, yeah. I mean, every movie almost would be better if Cocaine Bear was in it. I'm obsessed with the lead, Cocaine Bear. I love the bear in the movie. CGI, I think it's better than Twilight, so I'm okay with it. This was not upsetting to me with how bad the CGI was. I thought it was great.
Yeah, well, I think we can get into that. I mean, this can be, I guess, the spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. But honestly, there's nothing really to spoil in this movie. So, like, if you haven't seen it, like, you're just gonna hear us talking about some funny things. But yeah, the bear. I thought the bear was gonna look like garbage, and I actually
Mhm.
was pleasantly surprised. I thought the bear looked great.
Yeah, it was good personality, I feel like. I was really connected to the bear. I really liked the bear. I was more concerned about the bear than I was about all the people she was murdering.
Yeah,
'Cause obviously we know it's a female, because which I have to say, I loved Alden Ehrenreich. Yeah. Ehrenreich, whatever. He was the young Luke, or sorry,
oh,
Han Solo.
he was Eddie.
Yeah, he's Eddie in this movie, and this is the first thing I've seen him in since that, and I always thought he was really good, so I'm happy to see him again. I loved him in this movie, but he has that line where he's like, the bear's on top of him, and he's like,
She,
What?
the bear, is a girl.
Oh, how do you know that?
Because its vagina is on my ear.
and I was like, "Ooh, that's a real strong visual. Gross."
I love I love when the coked out teen or whoever's like, I think we should just leave him. And then he's just like under the bear and he's just like, dude,
Yeah, I
what
know.
the
He's just
fuck?
like, "You're alive? How did he live under that thing?" It was so funny. The bear really liked him. Again, I just think that this bear had a lot of personality and could have been really shitty CGI. If you compare it to other movies in this category, I bet, which this category that I'm talking about would be like B movie, like a horror comedy with like a raging animal, but it's like
Yeah.
a funny one, right? So, I mean, the closest thing I can really think of is like Snakes on a Plane. Cause in that one, they like jack the snakes up with something so that they're like really aggressive and like attack and kill everyone. Because like
Yeah.
normally snakes would just be like no big deal. So compared to other movies like that, I just feel like CGI 10 times better. And the actual like it's just a bear, but it's like a character, you know?
hmm
Like it works.
Here's a hot take. The bear in this movie, I felt had more personality, was more expressive, and I engaged with it more watching it than any animal in the live action Lion King. Those
Yeah.
animals, their faces didn't move, which is the most important part of the animated series because they don't move like that and they have expressions. And the live action is just like you're just cats walking around and then one of you has Donald Glover's voice and Beyonce's voice.
Then there was that like Seth Rogen warthog that like still haunts me to this day. If you've ever like that thing was very upsetting. But yeah, again, it's like maybe super realistic isn't what we need for the movie Cocaine Bear.
Yeah.
You know what I like about the CGI too is that like it's just perfect. It's good enough to pass and it's like not bothersome or anything. It's normal, it's fine. But like they really did put a lot of budget towards I feel like the gore and the special effects in that way.
Yeah.
And practical effects. And I was like really happy to see that like sure, maybe the bear wasn't as perfect as it could have been, but like they clearly utilized some of that budget for the gore. And I think that was something that really stood out to me in this movie was how much gorier it was than I was imagining it.
There was some hardcore kills in
It was
this
great.
movie.
But like they were fun. It wasn't like watching like Hostel or like
Yeah.
Saw. We were like, oh, I mean, I literally just binged Saw 1 through 5 the other day.
Jesus.
I know. I finally was like, I can't do it anymore. I can't watch this. It's so upsetting. Back to back to back. Everyone is just torturing and screaming. I mean, it's just the worst. But it's like those movies are still kind of fun and nostalgic for me. But like, you know what I mean? That's like torture porn. I like feel uncomfortable watching it.
Yeah.
Whereas the gore in this one, you're like, oh shit. Like it was funny, right?
Oh yeah, it was really funny. I mean, the ambulance scene.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's like the number one scene that stands out to me.
That's the peak of the movie is that scene.
Everything about that whole sequence is perfect. Literally.
Tom, get in! Wait! Oh, God. Shit! Jesus, Panther wasn't even on yet! What the fuck is wrong with that bear?
The bear jumping into the ambulance. Everything leading up to it is also funny because the way they're all talking to each other.
Yeah. It's just I love that like they're like leave him and then like he's like running out, but it's like go and like he's trying to catch the ambulance, the bear's coming, you're like, oh my God. I just knew this was you kind of see this shot in the trailer of the bear jumping onto the ambulance, but like I didn't expect everything that happened after that, you know?
Yeah, it was great. And then it just has the cherry on top of the woman falling out of the ambulance.
Locked into the stretcher. Getting her fucking skin or face peeled off on the fucking asphalt, which was great. Like really good special effects. I liked that. I thought it was very fun. Also, I know it's like a weird trope, but like that of like the whole idea of somebody being like strapped into like a stretcher, not being able to move, and then it like getting thrown somewhere.
Yeah.
The one that I always think about is from the movie Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds when he's like on the skates and like he gets all fucked up and then they have him in there and like he goes shooting down the hill and like lands face first and they pull him up and his face is all bloody with snow and it's like his teeth are missing.
Oh my God.
It always, you know what it is? It's just, it's fucking hilarious to see somebody strapped to one of those things. Deep Blue Sea does it too. That always gets me. It's supposed to be scary, but like it's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
It's a weird trope, but it works. It's fun.
Well, and then I mean, Chef's Kiss, that they brought it back at the end of the movie when they're leaving. The movie's over and they're walking out and they're just like walking past the body that's still there. Oh, let's just walk around this.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much. There was so many of those like little weird things in the movie like that. You're just like, what? I don't know. I just was really into the humor. I think this might be my favorite Elizabeth Banks directed movie so far that I've seen.
I don't know if I've seen another one that she's directed. I know she did like Pitch Perfect sequels.
I don't know if I've seen like those ones. Maybe that's it, but I have not seen the new Charlie's Angels reboot that she did. But like I might watch that now. I feel like she's a good director after watching this movie. She knows what she's doing. I think she made a great movie for what it was. It's better than it needs to be.
Yeah, I thought Elizabeth Banks did amazing. I thought she knocked this out of the park. Like it's exactly what it was supposed to be and nothing else. Wasn't doing too much, didn't do too little. It was just right. Just like the Three Bears.
Yeah, it really was. It was like exactly right. Not too much, not too little. but like just more than we deserved, I think.
Yeah.
Cocaine Bear is the movie that we needed right now. At least I know I did.
Like, this movie's just a good time. It's badass.
Hella
It's
badass.
funny. This is a hilarious movie. Okay.
Yeah, I don't get people saying it's not funny. I'm like, what? Are you guys watching a different movie? I was fucking laughing the entire time.
I swear to God, like I've heard people like complain about it, and whenever I hear someone be like, "Ah, Cocaine Bear sucked," I'm like, that's all I need to hear. I don't need you to talk about what was so bad about it. It's a movie called Cocaine Bear. Like, sorry you had a bad time, but lighten up and just have a good time.
They've clearly never done cocaine is really what it comes down to. You can just tell, right? Because if you've done coke, you're like, this movie's pretty good. It's pretty accurate.
I've never done coke, but I am on ADHD meds, which is essentially coke. So I don't know.
Yeah, and you snort them all the time too. I know that. So right on brand.
But this movie's hilarious, and the cast is hilarious. Like they just crushed it. Like there's so many like recognizable faces. You know, like first off, they have Jesse Tyler Ferguson from Modern Family.
Yeah, which he's given Will from Stranger Things a run for his money with the worst wig ever. That was the worst. I almost didn't recognize him.
And that accent.
Yeah, it was pretty great though. I thought he was really funny and I enjoyed seeing him, but it was like a real shock to the system when he first showed up. I was like, "Oh my God, that's what you look like? Like, how is that anyone?" I mean, again, all these people do look like they are like stereotypical characters from like an 80s movie.
Yeah.
That's why or a B movie for sure, but like that's why I just feel like they really nailed exactly what they were going for, because those movies have like awkward moments or like weird kind of jokes that like you're like, wait, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's so funny. And then like the ranger, the woman,
Margot Martindale. Yeah.
She's one of those actresses I'm like, I've seen you in 20 different things, but like I can't think of like the one thing I know I've seen you in.
Dexter.
Thank you. Okay, yeah,
You're
was
welcome.
in Dexter.
I was like, I did this too. I went through the exact same thing, but I was like, I know that I don't remember her name. It also has, I think, my two new favorite child actors of all time. I think they might be the best child actors I've ever seen. They're not like, the Leo DiCaprio of children actors, but they were fucking charming and hilarious. And I don't really like children. And they were doing cocaine.
That scene was so funny. The whole time I'm like, are they actually going to have the kids do coke in this
I know.
movie?
I was like, this is amazing. Nolan was like playing his game when I first watched this. And I'm like, babe, you got to see this. These kids are just eating spoonfuls of coke. I love this movie. What?
When have you seen cocaine on the streets? Want to do it? Oh, yeah? With who? With Falk. After church. Falk does not do cocaine after church. Are you friends with Falk? No, he's a pervert. And you want to know.
How much should I do? Like a tablespoon?
You're supposed to just like eat a tablespoon. I was like, oh my God. The little kid like saying that he like goes over to his friend's house after church and does cocaine. And she's like, you do not do coke with him after church.
He's a perv. And he's like, yeah, that's how you wouldn't know.
Yeah. But I'm just saying those kids were fucking adorable. For the human characters, I was probably most concerned for them because I was like, I mean, everyone's getting their ass eaten, literally some people. So I thought these kids are goners for sure. So I was like, the fact that the bear took the girl early on, I was like, she's probably done for. But of course, thankfully, she was smart and saved.
Yeah, she left. And I loved when they ate the coke and they're just like, oh, this is disgusting. And then the bear comes up behind him and then the bear just sneezes all the coke on them. They're like, ah!
So freaking cute. Those kids, they were hilarious. Every little thing about them. They were just they were my like all stars of the movie. They really won it. But I would say it might be a tie between them and Alden Ehrenreich, who played Eddie, we already mentioned. But I loved his character. I thought he was hilarious and really charming. And I just was like, I want him in more stuff.
I was obsessed with Eddie.
Yeah, I love Eddie.
Every time he was on screen, he made me laugh. He
Every
was
single time.
so hilarious. I was shocked. Like,
People were like confused about his storyline, but I'm like, okay. I mean, people, you can't have it two ways. You want this movie to mean something like weird or metaphorical, right? But then you don't understand a simple plot device because he doesn't start by saying my wife's dead. They like get into that slowly because he's talking about how his tattoo says John instead of Joan, his wife's name.
yeah.
It's like,
Oh my
it says
God.
John.
They spelled her name wrong, David. It says John.
It says John.
Her name is fucking Joan.
Look, we could get it fixed.
No, I gotta wait a week for it to heal first. I got 7 more days of John.
And it's like there you're like, what? And so like you're kind of thrown into it and but he slowly peels it back and like you learn so much more about him and you come to love him. Everything he says is hilarious when they're playing 20 questions. And O'Shea Jackson, which like he's great too. I thought
Oh, yeah.
Everyone in this cast just great chemistry too. Even the bear.
I mean, the scene when O'Shea Jackson beats the shit out of those kids in the bathroom, like,
Well, they're like jumping him in there. I'm like, what are you kids doing? He could
Yeah.
take all three of you. And it's like, oh yeah, he does. There's like some very random things that happen in this movie, but like, I mean, it's fitting. If you've ever done cocaine is nothing if not random and like crazy and like all over the place, you know? It's like this movie feels like be a cocaine trip is I think what the point is.
Eddie and
David.
that like the whole scene of them in the beginning when they're at the bar, just everything they say to each other is hilarious, and Eddie is just maybe the funniest thing I've seen all year. Like,
Yeah. He
like
really surprised me.
I got 7 more days with John.
Yeah. It's like that's his thing the whole movie because before he can get his tattoo changed. I love it.
I was gonna say, and I love how that scene ends when and David is like, is that penne pasta? And he's just, it's plain.
I love he's just eating plain pasta with
Yeah.
nothing on it. Like that's how you know he's really depressed. Again, it's like little things that just keep adding to this really unique character that like I wasn't expecting in this movie. Like he's the only one that I was like, oh shit, like he just really took me by surprise. He was so charming. But my favorite scene, I think, is when they're doing the 20 questions.
Ask me if it's bigger than a bread box.
Is it bigger than a bread box?
Yes.
Woo! Is it Abraham Lincoln?
What? No! Broad. Then narrow it down, man.
The kid that like they kidnap and like bring with them too, like the one teenager that like that kid, I thought he was funny too.
Yeah.
And I thought I was gonna hate him at first, but I ended up liking him.
Yeah, he fit in really well with
Weirdly.
Eddie and David. Like they had a good vibe, just all three of them together.
Yeah, that him and like fucking Eddie are just teaming up against David. I loved that. Just it's like there was like small little groups kind of like doing their thing. Like Keri Russell was also really good as the mom looking for the daughter, and then she's paired up with the little kid. And their names are Dee Dee and Henry, the character names. So like,
oh yeah.
So her and Henry, when they're like, he's like, you know, is it bad if the bear did some cocaine? Like, would that have a bad long-term effect on the bear? And like, it's like basically asking like, and she's like, well, not if he never did it again. Like, also like, it's like, you know, basically, oh, okay, so you guys did cocaine. They're just cute. It was a great little coupling.
Oh yeah, I love when he's like, Mom, how do you know that's blood? And she's like, I'm a nurse. Yeah.
Right? Exactly. She's literally like in her nurse outfit. Everything about it was just like the characters were fun. You're here to have a good time. And I felt like I would have a lot more characters that were unlikable in this movie. And there was really not that many. And even the ones that were unlikable, it was like, you know, like the park ranger, Ranger Liz. Like she was obviously like gonna die because she was not a nice person, but like hilarious. I enjoyed all of her scenes. I really, really felt bad for Christopher or Olaf, I guess, but what's his name? Hivju? I can't fucking pronounce it. It's like Swedish. The guy from Game of Thrones. I was just say Tormund.
In the beginning.
Tormund from Game of Thrones. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I can't think of. I can never pronounce it. But I was like, I actually felt bad for him in this movie. He was the only one that wasn't really going comedy, which was weird.
Yeah.
I mean, at the beginning, I guess, but like, yeah, for the rest of the movie, he was like, I mean, obviously his like wife got killed.
Like he was playing full blown like traumatized.
No, I mean, I get it. Like if I had seen the shit that they'd all
Yeah.
seen, I would have been traumatized for life. Like I would have rather been mauled by the bear because there's no way I'm getting over that.
I learned something from him. I had never heard the rule before. If it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lie down. I'd never heard that before.
That's the only thing I've ever known about bears. But for me, I think I'm also like, because I'm a runner, that's like, I don't have a choice in that matter. It's like my brain doesn't go, let's make a decision before we act. It's like usually I don't realize I've already ran away until I'm like 5 minutes away, like running at the fastest speed I've ever ran in my life. So I would be killed like instantly. I'd be just like his fiance. And I was like, oh, that's a bummer because I liked her. I liked them together. But yeah, that he was the only one I was like, oh, I kind of wish he was having a little bit more fun because I like it when he gets to do comedy because I thought always he was so great and when he was hilarious on Game of Thrones as Tormund.
Oh, yeah. He
like
was
hitting on
great.
Brienne. He was fucking hilarious. Let that guy shine.
Well, and then I think the person that maybe is my favorite just throughout the whole movie is the detective.
Yes.
You talk about like weird little pairings of the characters. He's just randomly from the beginning paired with this dog, and that is like his entire character arc. It's like I got a dog, and it's my whole world.
But it's like the first thing is he's like, I don't know, it's a little fancy for me. I don't know if I got the right one. But then he has the other chick like, watch over it. And it's like he's so like he's not even with the dog for 90% of the movie, but his character is all about the dog.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's after Ray Liotta's character, which we also haven't mentioned yet, but that's because I mean, Ray Liotta was just perfect in this movie. I know we've said before this is his perfect like final movie to go out on.
Yeah.
I still think that I agree with that after watching this movie. What do you think?
Oh, I loved him. He like he was
great.
He was 110% Ray Liotta. Like
He's having a fucking blast. I've seen him do way worse than this.
And I loved that he was Eddie's dad.
Yeah.
Like just that dynamic just added a layer of hilarity. Like when he shows up at the end and he's like, "Where's my son?" And he's like, "I got rid of him." It's like, "You gave him to me. How long did you think I was going to keep him?"
He's like, "That's your grandchild." Because he's like, he's watching TV. He's like, "Back in Atlanta." It's like, but then later when she's like, when the detective guy we were just talking about with the dog, and he's like, they're talking about it, and then Ray Liotta's like, you have his dog? She's like, yeah, I have his dog in the car. And he goes, you've got a dog in the car? And I love that Eddie's like, you're concerned about a dog in a car, but you left my son in St. Louis. Or like, whatever. It's like, okay. And like the whole movie, you're like, because they don't mention that right away. Like that's something that they reveal that they're related right later on. Because I didn't get that till like probably halfway through, I think, is when they finally or maybe it's early on. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they do it early on. I think that's why
maybe they do. I just missed
why
it.
David goes to get him. And I think he has his son at the beginning. Like he's watching his son while Eddie is wallowing in sorrow.
Yeah, so good.
Also, shout out to Eddie. I think my favorite thing that he said is when they were listening to music in the car, and he's like, I think he gave my wife cancer. He's like, you can't give someone cancer. Oh, yes, you can.
I do also have to say Matthew Rhys was the one who was in the plane in the very beginning. And he's the one who, him and Keri Russell, they were the co-leads of the American Spy show together.
Oh.
So it was like really fun that he was in it. And then I also enjoyed a lot. I thought he was really good was the Scott Seiss guy from TikTok. I really liked him. I thought he was great. I hope he does more stuff.
Yeah, this is his first feature-length movie, and yeah, he was hilarious.
Yeah, like I really wanted him to make it, but like it was great. He got a great. I mean, he got again. I think we can both agree he got the best like action sequence of the movie.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing of him finding the bear, all the blood, the bear
closing the door again with the bear in
the
there.
bear tackling him, and then that whole sequence going forward, and then yeah, even you talked about practical effects, like the little effect of like his hand being like ripped off, just like for that little second. It was
Yeah,
like,
it was good.
this looks great.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anybody who complains about the CGI, like I heard people say that the bear at the Oscars looked better than the one in the movie, and I was like,
Oh God.
oh God, you're so pretentious. Like, who are you? Who are you pretending? Like, what? Get out of here. If you don't like Cocaine Bear, don't talk about it. That's really all it is. There's no reason to tear down this movie because it's not like, Elizabeth Banks was going to the Oscars going like, oh yeah, you guys, well, I'll see you next year when Cocaine Bear wins Best Picture. Like she knows, right?
Yeah.
We all know. But I think like if you're just gonna find something to be sour about, then whatever. But if you're okay with having a good time and just like laughing your ass off and enjoying a couple sequences that were kind of actually like scary. I don't know about you, but I thought that there was a couple like scenes that were actually like I was like, shit, she could do horror.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of these sequences.
Medic! Oh, Jesus. What is that?
I think this movie it almost feels like it can be like a highlight reel of tones and styles that Elizabeth Banks can direct in, because it has horror elements, it has action elements, it has comedy, it has suspense, it has a little bit of everything just in these small little
Some
doses.
family moments,
It's got some cute moments, like when you see the cocaine covered cubs. They're
cocaine covered
adorable.
cubs. Say that 12 times fast. They were fucking adorable. I was very worried for them at the end of the movie. I was like, R.I.P. Ray Liotta, but if he kills a fucking cub, even if it's CGI, I'm gonna lose it.
And yeah, R.I.P. Ray. But what a way to go out in terms of a movie, because like that's a good death. That's a good death in a movie.
Yeah, I mean, he got his intestines everywhere. I feel like that would be like really fun to film as an actor.
Yeah.
Like you just get to be like really. I mean, he didn't play it as over the top as most people do. They're like, I mean, it's like most people are like Jaws, like the final scene when he's getting eaten, like so much. Like you can really hear those screams. It's like, wow, that guy's really getting eaten, Whereas like I feel like Ray Liotta was more like, oh, what the fuck? Like that was kind of the vibe I was getting from him, was just like, oh, what? Oh, like that was it, right? He was very casual about having intestines being eaten.
Yeah.
I mean, bold move, bold choice. I respect it.
But yeah, like we talked about the ambulance scene, but like the whole part where he finds the bear in the closet, like that's scary,
Yeah.
And then they immediately bounce to really funny scenes and action scenes. Even the whole scene of when the bear's like climbing the trees, like Keri Russell's hiding, and then the claw hits.
Yeah, like it was like I was like, she's got the right timing for. Well, I mean, again, it's a horror comedy, and it's weird how often if you're really good at comedy or horror, like you can usually do really well at the other one. The timing's very similar. It's just kind of a similar skill. She really nailed it, and the ability to switch back and forth, like the fact that it could be so silly, and then yet I would still be scared and tense during that scene. Like that whole scene with the way that she shot it was really well done.
Yeah, I would love to see her do a horror movie. Also, this movie I think is the only movie that has pulled off or shown well that bears can climb trees.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, of course they can.
Well, yeah, everyone knows that, but like you never see it in a movie. And
really? Yeah, I guess I don't watch that many bear movies.
And like when it showed how quickly it can climb up a tree, that's not that exaggerated. Like it made me think of this video of this guy who was hunting, and he was in like one of his canopies up in a tree, and there's a bear walking around, and he's just filming it, and he's like, just walk away, and you hear the bear start climbing up the tree, and it's up the tree in like less than a couple seconds. Like you hear the and like holy cow. And then it's like this movie, I'm like, you see it go up that fast. It's like, geez, that's partial cocaine. That's natural.
That is pretty cute though, when like the bear's almost to the little kid, but then she like Gets the little snifter of Coke and then goes over. But I love that, like, the kid's like to Jesse Ferguson. He's like, what are we doing up here? Like,
You're safe. Bears can't climb trees.
Of course I can!
Then why are you up here?
then why are we up here? Because, yeah, why the fuck? Like, well, to be fair, maybe most people, it's just a natural inclination. Because you're like, I
Yeah.
definitely am not going to outrun that thing. Granted,
Mhm.
you can't outclimb it either. The best thing is to find a sharp branch and kill yourself so that it doesn't have to kill you. Because
Yeah.
that sounds like longer and more painful. And from all the examples in this movie, I think that's pretty true.
They're killing machines. And Sarah loves to remind me whenever we talk about bears or whenever she sees a picture of a bear, she's like, they are killing machines, but God, they do not have the right to be so damn cute. Like, how can you be so vicious and just violent, but so fucking cute?
Has she ever seen a picture of the bear, like with a hairless bear with no hair?
Oh, yeah.
Show that to her. She'll never think of fucking bears cute again. That really did it for me. Once I saw that, I was like, bears are villains. They're not Winnie the Pooh. That was a lie. Look at, there's even a fucking horror movie about it now.
Oh, God.
Yeah, this movie did a lot to show me, like, no, you know what? Bears are scary and you should respect them. This movie does well with, like, the very beginning tells you this is not how black bears act. Or, I mean, there's some bears. I'm sure
Mhm.
grizzly bears might go for it, try to kill you for just the fun of it. But black bears are typically, like, unless threatened, they're not going to be this way. You know, this movie's
Mhm.
obviously exaggerating. It tells you that from the beginning.
Yeah.
But yet, even though the bear is going nuts on everyone, it's like they still paint it in a really good light.
Yeah, the bear in my mind is the main character.
It's the hero of
Yeah.
the movie. That's the one that I was like, I was really most worried. Like, is this bear going to die? I mean, it does so much coke. You would think. And in real life, it did. But I'm
Yeah.
also like, I mean, clearly I know from the beginning this is a fantasy tale. But
Yeah.
I was happy to say that the bear and the cocaine cubs, they live to fight another day and do some more
Mhm.
coke. That was a good surprise for me.
It's great. So let's talk about some bear movies, because there's not a ton of them. I mean,
Yeah, you're going to have to tell me. I didn't look up any of these.
the first one that came to my mind, I think it's because I watched it most recently, is that bad Backcountry,
Yes.
the one where they use a real bear, but like they film a bear, and it's very obvious that the bear is not actually interacting with anything in the movie.
I don't remember that. I thought that was a good like sequence. That was the best part of the movie for me because I hated that boyfriend in that movie and I thought this guy needs to die. And then that scene, it was pretty horrific, I thought.
It was. It's just a lot of shaky cam. It
That's
ruined
the whole point. Yeah.
it ruined it for me when they're like, "Oh my God, he's dead! Oh my God!" And then it pulls the camera back, and it's just a very calm bear covered in blood. Like it looked really funny.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe I need to rewatch that because I remember being traumatized and I was like not expecting that because I was like, this movie really isn't that good.
Now, a good bear movie.
Yeah. Give me one.
It's called The Edge.
Oh, I love that movie. That's like from the 80s or 90s.
1997. Anthony Hopkins, Alec Baldwin, and a real bear, a real
real bear,
trained
yeah.
bear.
Grizzly bear, right?
Yeah,
It's
like
big.
a trained bear that's like interacting with the actors. Like that was the big thing with that movie. Is like
Sounds
this
like
is
the beginning of Nope. Could
it's
have
a
been.
real bear.
Yeah. Why the fuck? That's the thing. Is like, thank God they have CGI bears now.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being an actor and be like, gotta go play with a fucking bear today. Let's hope I don't get fucking killed. Like, I mean, they must just both be so thankful every time they go to a set and go, I'm not dealing with a live bear today. So whatever it is, can't be worse.
I think the most notable bear, it's not a bear movie, but it's a notable bear, is probably the bear from The Revenant.
Oh,
Because like
yep.
that whole part in the trailer is like 50% of why people went to go see that movie.
Yeah, that's why I didn't see it. I'm like, I don't need to see Leo just be tortured for 90 minutes and then eaten by a bear partially and then tortured again. I mean, I didn't want to see it.
No, you have it backward. It's 5 minutes of a bear throwing Leo around, and then the rest of the movie is him crawling and not talking.
Exactly. That
And then he
get
wins
it.
an Oscar.
I've seen his other movies that he really won an Oscar for, so I'm okay with that. But yeah, that's like the only other bear thing I can think of is that scene in Without a Paddle, where like
Oh, yeah.
that comedy movie, and then I
I
always
don't
quote
have to
that.
outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you.
That's the only I quote that all the time. I think about that because it's like, in movies, like we were watching all those shark movies last summer, and it's like in all those movies, people are like, "Oh, my friend's getting attacked by the shark. Better go save him." It's like, nope, sorry, you are distracting the shark. Thank you. Now the rest of us can get away. That's really what it comes down to. And that movie taught me a lot. It did not teach you the whole, lay on the ground or whatever. What was it again?
If it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lie down.
Yeah, there you go.
Words to live by.
Words to live by.
Not in this movie, though.
Yeah, unless the bear's on cocaine. I think that's the ultimate message. That's a good list, though. I think I was considering like looking at other bear movies, but I couldn't. I thought it would be too hard to think of. So I went the other direction, which was cocaine movies and movies with cocaine.
There's a lot more of those.
There's so much more. And I was like, these just seem like more fun to think about or like look up, And then I was like, man, I need to watch some of these movies again.
So, I mean, first one comes to mind is Scarface.
Yep.
For sure.
Obviously.
I mean, another Ray Liotta, Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. I always really enjoy the whole cocaine sequence in Horrible Bosses when they accidentally end up doing all the coke and like just Charlie Day on cocaine in that movie is like untouchable. I love him. That whole sequence, him and Jason Bateman, they're like, I just feel like I'm a really good trying to sift the cocaine through like the little mini vac. It's so good. That one I also like. I think my favorite like cocaine straight out movie is probably Blow with Johnny Depp. It's a really fun movie. It's like really interesting. It's not, I don't know. It's not the best movie ever, but I enjoy it. The scene in Starsky and Hutch with Ben Stiller accidentally drinking all the coke instead of the sugar that he puts in the coffee, and then Superbad. That's always the other one that I think about because I love that like they are all doing coke. Michael Cera's already in the room, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, you're that guy's brother, like the one who's really good at singing." They make him sing. He chooses to sing "These Eyes," that song. It's just so fucking funny, and the way that he does it. And they're like so high on coke, but they're like they don't even tell that it's like not good at all. They're just like, "Oh, this is great." It's so fucking funny. That whole scene when they're at the party is great, but that whole thing too.
And then the other side of that coin is any scene with Michael Cera in This Is the End.
Yes. All the coke in that too. Yeah. There's so many good ones. Honestly, there's like a million, but I mean, this movie I think might take the cake. I guess Wolf of Wall Street too, but that one's more of just whole entire thing of drugs. Yeah, it's drugs and money and all that shit.
I associate that movie with Quaaludes more than cocaine.
Yeah, or like I guess Boogie
Get the lewds.
Yeah, get the lewds. Exactly, lewds. Yeah, there's so many coke movies, but I think like
we could do a whole podcast on coke related movies.
I would almost say like though Babylon is really the cocaine movie.
Oh yeah,
that's like that's a recent one that we did, and we were like, it's literally cocaine for 3 hours.
I remember saying, I'm pretty sure Margot Robbie's actually doing coke.
Yeah, I mean they all must have been. They were all. It's a cocaine movie, so. It sounds like, it's weird to say that might be more cocaine movie than Cocaine Bear, but it might just be. I don't know. A lot of people also mention every movie from the 80s. And so I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But that's again why this movie does it perfectly. Because yes, it's very much a cocaine movie. It's kind of 50-50 with Cocaine and Bear, but it does it all in an 80s way. It's got this like weird kind of charm to it, right? Mm-hmm. For a movie called Cocaine Bear. Pretty charming.
Weird, quirky characters, weird, ridiculous things happen. Some things aren't explained. Most things aren't important. And that's what I think that's what we need sometimes. Not all the time.
Yeah.
But just every once in a while. You just need something for fun.
Yeah. And you know what? It's at least it's like selling exactly what it is. Like I would say there's no false advertisement in any of these trailers. Like this is exactly what you're getting. And I loved it.
It's been very transparent. And we both love it, obviously. I think a good note for us to close on. As of today, 2 hours ago, apparently, the real cocaine bear, the bear that died, apparently got stuffed and taxidermied. That bear, they just announced a couple hours ago, will preside as an officiant over a wedding.
Are you serious?
Somebody, there's a whole article.
Oh my
it.
God.
The bear's name is Pablo Escobar. And because of the popularity of the movie, somebody is actually going to bring it to their wedding out in Kentucky.
It's in Kentucky. Okay, that tells me everything that I need to know. It's just as bad. I mean, the only thing I was expecting more would have been Florida. This sounds like woman in Florida. You know, like this sounds like one of those stories where you're just, I'm like, whenever they say woman, person, anything from Florida, I'm just like, well, the end of the sentence could be anything and I'm going to believe it. So Cocaine Bear, I guess Kentucky. I'm curious to see how that goes since it can't talk and it's dead.
And apparently the ceremony is open to the public.
Gross.
On March 27th. So,
I mean, maybe that's how people pay for their weddings now.
That'll be after we air this episode. But that happened.
Cool.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. We out here.